Welcome once again to another edition of the Schmidt Show here on News Radio 1029 KARN. My name is Brad Schmidt, and we are glad you're here. Spending a little bit of time with us this afternoon. It's hump day. Not as nice of a day today as it was yesterday. A little bit chillier today, I think in the low 60s for a high today is what we're expected. But yeah, looking forward to a good day because there is a lot to talk about, and we're going to get into all of that. There is so much going on around the world. There's a website that I go to that I've been going to for 20 years maybe or more now, and it's called Fark.com, Fark.com, and it's a news aggregate site. It's not any sort of, you're not going to get a lot of deep political or intelligent commentary there, but you will find sometimes some very funny news stories, and I feel like I need to start doing like a headline of the day or something from Fark because they always have some good ones. In fact, one of the ones today, the headline just said the worst kind of Bible thumper, literally. And you click on it and you read the story and you find out what happened was apparently on Easter Sunday somewhere. I'm not even really sure where. I didn't read deeply enough into the article. But apparently on Easter Sunday somewhere at a Walgreens, a customer was upset thinking that the store manager was being rude, and when asked to leave by the store manager, the customer thought, I know, I will share the gospel with this woman in the form of smacking her across the face with my Bible. So probably not the best way. If you're out there trying to proselytize for the faith, hitting someone in the face with a Bible, genuinely Bible thumping someone, probably not such a great way to do it. So maybe you want to avoid that. But I've been thinking I might need to add in once a day the comical headline or funny news story of the day from Fark. But if you've never had a chance to go to Fark.com, I would encourage it. There is oftentimes some very comical stuff, some very funny news stories there that you will find some laughs from, and it's all user submitted, so you can even create your own little account and submit your own funny headline in a conjunction with the news story that you are sharing. So maybe we'll do that, maybe we won't, but I just figured I would share that one with you because it gave me a good chuckle. I've been frustrated with customer service in the past, and I've even lost my temper a few times with individuals. I yelled at a bank teller back in the late 90s or early 2000s, somewhere around there, and because long story, I won't get into the story, but I did feel bad and ended up calling back and apologizing because it wasn't her fault. She was just doing her job. She just happened to be the one that answered the phone that day, and I was angry. No, I didn't. I mean, I wasn't like cussing at her and calling her names and being evil to her, but I certainly wasn't as polite as I should have been. So I ended up, like I said, call her back and apologize to her for being rude. But I've never felt it necessary in all of my 48 years. I've never felt it necessary to smack someone across the face with a Bible. So if you got any of those stories, feel free to give us a call or send us a text message and share those stories, your customer service stories. We can hear those today. But let's get into a little bit of what you ought to know. Let's talk about the news of the day, the things that we're going to get into on the show in some of the more serious portions of the show. Of course, one of the big news stories is Nebraska just attempting or working on legislation to switch their electoral college format to winner takes all. So according to Breitbart, the Nebraska governor actually backs and or supports a conservative-led effort to award all of the state's electoral votes to the statewide presidential winner, as opposed to the way they do it now. So right now, the way it works in Nebraska and Maine, all the other states, all 48 of the other states, they all do, if you win the statewide popular vote, you get all of the electors for the state. The way Nebraska and Maine does it, you get one vote for winning the statewide popular vote. So if whether it's Trump or Biden or whether it was Obama or Reagan or whoever, they get one electoral vote from the state for winning the statewide popular vote. You get the most votes, you get one. But then the other remaining votes in Maine, there's 3 congressional districts. In Nebraska, there's 2. So each congressional district awards the vote according to the popular vote in their district. So it is possible in Nebraska right now that you could win one for the statewide popular vote. You could win one for one of the congressional districts or 2 for both of the congressional districts. I don't think the math works out to where you could ever win one for the statewide vote, but then lose both districts statewide. I don't think there's any case where the popular vote would work out that way, simply because if you win both congressional districts, that would be statewide. And there's just no way the math would work out on that. But you could win 2, lose 1. Now, in Maine, you could win 1 for the statewide electoral vote and then, 2 districts or 1 district or whatever. So, but yeah, that's the way it's happening right now. Well, there is an effort in Nebraska to change that to where it would be winner take all. If you win the statewide vote, no more splitting by district. You just get all 3 of the statewide or of the state electoral votes. Now, I guess it would actually be 4 because you get, it'd be 5 because you get 5. You get 1 per senator and 1 per representative. So if they have 2 congressional districts, I guess it'd be 4 possible. So you get 1 per each senator and 1 per each congressional district. So anyway, it doesn't really matter. But the point is, currently you can split it. You don't have to be granted all of the electoral votes for the entire state at one time. So they're trying to change this. They're trying to set it so it would be winner take all like 48 other states. Now, generally, I've been opposed to splitting electoral votes because I feel like it somewhat kind of defeats the purpose of the Electoral College. But this is a different discussion. This is, and we're going to have a guest on the show tomorrow. His name is Lars Mapstead. He's been on the show before, and he is one of the libertarian candidates running for president. And part of his strategy has been going, look, I know I'm not going to win the election. I know I'm not going to be able to win a national, electoral college victory as the presidential candidate. My goal is not to win that. My goal is simply to lend some legitimacy to the Libertarian Party by showing that we can win in some districts. And he was kind of focusing his efforts on Nebraska and Maine in hopes that he would be able to peel away one of those electoral college votes. And, like I say, while it wouldn't obviously affect the outcome of the presidency, of course, unless it was like a 269 tie, something like that, then that's a whole other discussion. But we'll get into that. And so he's going to be talking a little bit about this at great length. But the idea of the Electoral College changing in Nebraska is kind of a big story, and we'll get into that. Another story we're going to talk about today, my friend and friend of the show, Michael White, is going to be joining us. He is, of course, running for the District 75 House seat here in the state of Arkansas. And we're going to talk a little bit about state dependency on the federal government. And I've done some research and done a little bit of digging into the numbers, and I know Michael has done the same. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. As it stands right now, about 28.17% of state revenues in the state of Arkansas come from the federal government. Now, that is I found like 40 different articles and 20 different sources that all had a kind of a different number, but that's kind of from what I could tell, that's about the middle-ish of what I could find on some of these, depending on which agency is reporting what and so on. But basically, according to one report, for every $3.35 that we receive or that we send to the federal government, we receive $1 back. So the federal government collected in 2022 about $40 billion from Arkansans in taxes, and then they sent us back somewhere around $9 or $10 billion, depending, again, on which report you could find. And so we'll talk a little bit about why this matters and why this is important and how we in the state of Arkansas need to begin to wean ourselves off of the federal teat, because this is not good for us. It's not really good for any state, but it puts us in a position to where we can be essentially taken advantage of and or drug around by the nose by the federal government here in Arkansas. So we'll get into that. The big news story for Benton, the Buc-ee's Travel Center coming to Arkansas. That's not really big news or anything really extraordinary that's going to change the landscape of the history of Arkansas forever, but it is pretty cool, especially if you've ever been to a Buc-ee's and you know what Buc-ee's is. That'll be fun. So we'll maybe talk a little bit about that, jump into some of those discussion. And then I also ran across an article that I want to hear your thoughts on. This is a little bit more abstract, but the headline was why product safety regulations should be scrapped. And I first saw that, I thought, that's dumb. We have to have some safety regulations. We can't just let people run willy-nilly all over doing whatever they want, because people will be bad people and do bad things and all of that. So we'll get into that discussion. I want to hear some of your thoughts on that as we break down that argument a little bit and a whole lot more. So with that, we will continue with the Schmidt Show in just a few moments. And if you're watching on Twitter or on our website, or if you're watching through the YouTube channel, you're going to have to join us on the regular broadcast. We'll do that in a moment on KARN.